Hey guys, Danny Bird from Bayou Bushcrafting Survival. I want to do a quick video on knives. There are a wide variety of knives that you can use for bushcraft or survival purposes. My preference is the kukri style blades, but that's not what this video is going to focus on. I want to focus on knives that it's inexpensive, they're high quality, they're lightweight, and if they're lightweight and they meet those other standards, you're more than likely to carry them. And that's what it's all about. It doesn't matter if you've got a big, huge knife. If you're not willing to carry it, it's just going to get left at home. If it gets left at home, you're not going to have it on you when you need it. So let's talk about the kind of knives that most people would be okay with carrying that meets those standards I just told you about. Mora knives have been around since 1891, and they have an outstanding reputation. They make the highest quality of knives. They're not custom handmade knives, okay? They are manufactured, but most of their knives are all with, probably anywhere from, on the high end, $70 to $100. On the high end, you can get more knives, $10, $15, $20. Mid-range in around the 40, 50, and then on the high end, like I said, 70 to 100. So let's talk about knives real quick. And we're going to talk about the rule of two is one is none. If you have one knife, and God forbid something happens to that one knife, and it's in a survival situation, you're down to none. So one is none, two is one, because if you break one, you still got one left over. And I always like to have three. If I were going to go with something inexpensive, I would get something along the lines of a Swiss Army knife. Now, this particular Swiss Army is the Camp, and it's not cheap. It's not inexpensive. You're looking at $75 to $100 for this knife. So it's not cheap, but it's got everything in it. But you can get the smaller Swiss Army knives in the range of about $20, $25, something like that. So I would have this because it's a multi-tool. It's got a ton of items in it that will benefit you in different types of survival situations. And if you notice, I've got fire cord and a little ferro rod attached to it, so that gives me a fire source. So I would carry something like that. This is Mora's answer to the pocket knife. They only make fixed blade knives, so they came out with a small knife called the Eldris, and that's their idea of a pocket knife. This is very lightweight. It'll fit right down into your front pocket, no problem. So if you don't want to carry a folding knife, this is their answer to that. But this can also be attached to your belt. It can be attached to your neck, and I'll show you the neck carry system for that in just a moment. So you have the Mora Eldris, and then this is the Mora Classic. I believe this one is the number 1, I believe, or it might be the number 2. And it's a carbon steel blade, which means that you can, if you've got a hard enough rock, you can strike sparks off the back of this if you have char cloth to get an ember. So with these 3 items right here, knives, in the category of the knives, you've got a great survival situation, a survival setup. Now, are you going to be able to chop with that? Absolutely not. That is not a full tang knife. It's called a rat tail. This is not a chopper. It has no weight to it and no real length to it. So you're not going to be able to do any chopping. You'd be hard pressed to do any real serious batoning unless you're talking sticks, something like this. Yes, I could baton with this. If this wood was soaking wet and I needed it to make a fire, I need to get to the inside where it's dry. Yes, I could get another stick and I could baton on this. Am I taking a chance on breaking this knife? Absolutely, because it's a rat tail tang. Now, sticking with the Mora knives, you can upgrade to a larger Mora. This is the Pathfinder. And you can tell I've been using it a little bit just a few minutes ago to get that bark off. This is not a full tang knife, but it is about 3/4 of the way back on that tang. This knife has, by many different people, Dave Canterbury being one of them, has put this knife through rigorous testing, huge logs with knots, and it didn't break. That's about a 6 to 6 1/4 inch blade. So this would be a larger knife to do serious baton work with. And if you were gonna, if you're doing the Mora line, this is it, because this is the largest that they make. Next to that, something a little bit smaller that is a full tang is the Mora Garberg. That tang goes all the way through. It's the same size as you see right here. It's the same size. It's not a rat tail. This is a lot more comfortable, a lot easier to carry. Again, you're only going to be able to baton out to about here, because you've got to have at least enough to hammer on with your baton in order to split this wood. Batoning is not something you absolutely have to do. It does help in certain situations, but it's not absolutely necessary. This comes with a multi-mount system. You see I've got inner tube here, so I've got tender quicks and I got a ferro rod inside this, so I've got a complete fire system built into this. Again, this is the Mora Eldris. This is just a black model, okay? Same knife, but it has a carry system, and I put a lanyard on it. Got a little Sunto compass, ferro rod, and then with the rubber inner tube, I've got tender quicks in there. Again, another fire system. So in the Mora line, that's what any one of those would get you through a survival situation. You're gonna have to have skill sets to make it work. Again, you can go back to the Swiss Army knife or something like a Leatherman, okay? And those will give you other options for finer tasks. Something I want to show real quick, and we'll just use, I'll tell you what, let's use the Garberg, because the Garberg is something I see most people probably carrying, something of this size, something that would be on their belt. You might put this in your pack, but I hear a lot of people, they don't like to carry big knives. I'm not one of those. The bigger the better, in my opinion. But for most people, you're going to want something about this size. It doesn't weigh anything. And I'm just going to do make some curls here, just to show you the type of curls that you can get. And this is for starting your fire. This is for your tenders. I'm getting a little bit, haven't been using Mora knives in a while, so I'm just going to get the feel of it. Kind of cutting too deep in it. I got to get the right angle. This is called feather sticking. And the more of these feathers that you make, the thinner that you can make them, the better off, the better chance you're going to have of that catching with a ferro rod or a lighter. And really, even with a ferro rod, you're going to need something really fine, and I would use some fat wood along with this. So just to give you an idea, and you would of course keep going with that. And this is feather sticking, and this will help you in getting a fire started, because these little thin pieces are obviously going to catch fire long before this big piece is. This is fuel for later. Again, fat wood. Get you some fine dust, some shavings, I should say. I'm not going to do a lot with that. Just to give you an idea. Mora knives, comes to striking a ferro rod, I don't think there's anything better. The 90-degree angle that they have is just unbelievable. And this just to give you a quick idea. Ferro rod here. So you want to plant that hand right next to it or right over it. Get your ferro rod underneath it. And then there you go. And then you catch something like this. These will start to catch more as you let that flame go. These will start to catch. And I'm not trying to set my bag on fire, just to prove a point. We'll do that later, okay? But we won't do it here. So, that's the Mora Garberg. This is extremely lightweight system. You can't go wrong with this. If you had this and this right here, you'd be good. If I were long-term in the woods, I'm gonna go do some camping or do some hiking or something like that, and I expected maybe I might be in a situation where, I don't know, that I'm gonna be out here for a while, I'm gonna want something bigger. And we'll discuss something bigger. When it comes to knives, I like large knives, and I'll explain that in another video. Thank you for tuning in. I know your time is valuable and I appreciate it. So please, if you would, like, share, and subscribe. Hey, and hit that notification bell so that you can be updated when I have future videos that come out. I'm making random posts. I'm trying to get more of those out, and I will make a post about this video as to when it will be aired. So, Danny Bird, Bayou Bushcrafting Survival. Hey guys, get out there in the woods, have fun.